does.
All right, we're live.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and call a meeting to order. It is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, minutes and reports received and filed.
We do not have any today.
Okay. Commissioner Committee liaison reports, upcoming meetings and events.
We have an HVAC meeting Thursday, LU Homecoming Community Welcome Friday, Saturday is Homecoming Parade and the game, also St. Thomas Fall Fantasy, and firearm deer youth season this weekend, so be careful and don't be wearing your costume out there. I think that was it.
Today, Eric, we still have a Parks meeting today, okay?
It's 11:45.
I have a Mid-Mo Public Housing Agency meeting today, Friday, Ormond Court, and then Saturday, as Jeff said, lots of Lincoln homecoming events over the weekend.
Yeah. Tomorrow is MoDOT's Buckle Up, Tone Down Day. Just, I'm supposed to let everybody know. And then the Host Lions Club has their fall social tomorrow night. Thursday, I've got a meeting at the health department. And yeah, I've got all that Lincoln as well. So that's all I've got. Okay. Tell you what, we're going to deviate a little bit from our agenda and go to the discussion and approval of health insurance rates for 2026. Since we have Randy and Joe here.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
If you go to the blue packet, just a couple things in there. This morning's meeting is fairly simple, if you will. We're going to get in some detail on the stop loss renewal that's on the page that has UMR on the top left. But jumping to the left side, Joe's kind enough to let me go through all this, but she, as we know, she did the hard work here. So, but the Sun Life, we actually have them on the reinsurance too, the stop loss, but we work with them on what we call your ancillary coverages, all the non-medical coverages, and we were able to work to get a zero increase across the board, as you'll see on the basic life that is provided by the county for all the eligible employees. The voluntary life that the employees can purchase, voluntary term at their discretion through payroll deduction, and then dental and vision. So all of that, there was a zero increase, and we've got a small increase on the dental, as you'll see there. But the vision is also a zero, and short-term disability and long-term disability are rate hold.
Correct.
And so recommending, of course, to renew with Sun Life. They've been, I think, good to work with. And from a benefit standpoint, I'll just ask Deb on behalf of the HR leadership team, network-wise, dental, vision, and so forth. If you're hearing anything.
No, most employees understand the network now. We've been with Sun Life for a few years, with them only having a 6% on dental, and all of the rest of it on hold, especially our short-term and long-term. This was our first full year for those, and no rate increase, and they have been being used, the short-term for sure. Sheila could speak on that, but I would ask you guys to renew with Sun Life for the ancillary for the year 2026.
And we can continue on and talk about the medical and then do all that at once if you want. Okay. Any questions on that from the commission? On the right-hand side, you're used to seeing these, but of course we don't look at this all the time. So kind of our annual renewal process we go through. So a lot of numbers in front of you there. I'm going to walk down through the left-hand side just to kind of remind you of the coverages and what we're purchasing for reinsurance to protect the county, both at the individual, what we call specific level, and also the aggregate umbrella level for all the covered members. So we, of course, work with UMR, is our third-party administrator who does all the administration. they're owned by United Healthcare. So we're using the United Healthcare network. And I've mentioned this before, but that was a great transition for us at the time because we were fully insured years ago with United Healthcare. And as we made the decision to finance the program by partial self-funding, you really cut out, if you will, the profits of the insurance carrier. And we also get a lot more claims reporting that we can work with you all to manage claims and work with your, obviously, Debbie and the team to do that. So that's worked really well for a number of years now. But that is the administrator that we work with, that we can look at the reporting and help manage the risk of the plan. So right below that, we get into the reinsurance piece, which is, some people call it reinsurance, some people call it stop loss. So it's mentioned stop loss terms, effective 1/1/26. So there is no intermediary, meaning that we go directly to Sun Life. We're not going through what's called an MGU or someone. So it's direct relationship with Sun Life. The network, so the market and the carrier, Sun Life, the network is Choice Plus, which is the broadest network that United Healthcare has. There's no commissions built into your stop loss program. We're paid on a per employee per month fee basis from a broker advisor standpoint. There's times where brokers will put commission in the stop loss, but we've always kept that at zero. Your specific deductible, as a reminder, this is the amount you're paying, the county is paying for any covered member. So employees, dependents, if you will, every belly button that's covered under the plan. As they incur expenses, that member pays their appropriate co-payments, co-insurance deductibles, but then the larger part of that claim is funded by the county because you're self-funded, but we call it partial self-funded because you're buying reinsurance at this specific level, currently of $85,000. So we're going to see 3 columns here that we'll focus on. The first 3, that's the current program and the benefits and the rates. The second one's the renewal of the same $85,000, and then showing you a $100,000 option to raise that deductible. Real quick, option 3 and 4 are competing carriers. We did take this out to multiple different carriers in the market, and we just gave you a snapshot of a couple of them here. You'll see that they're not competitive. So we definitely use the market to get the best renewal with Sun Life. We're very happy with where we ended up here, which we'll get to those premium increases in just a second. So the policy that you're buying, again, is that specific deductible of $85,000. The maximum coverage, just going down the left-hand side, is unlimited. As a reminder, when ACA was passed, back in 2014, everything in the United States went to unlimited maximums. Before that, you could have like $1 million maximum per person in your plan. Well, they went to unlimited. That's great for the consumer, if you will, those that are needing care, but it obviously puts pressure on the carriers because if we have a $5 million claim after $85,000, if it's a covered claim, covered benefit, the carrier's paying for that. So that's what you're purchasing. So it's an unlimited maximum. The contract is a 1215. It covers all claims incurred currently in 2025. All claims incurred in 2025, keyword that the claims incurred, processed and paid during 2025 or the following 3 months, January, February, or March after that. So if I have a knee surgery November 28th and it doesn't get processed until January, February, it's still covered under this $85,000 stop loss for me as an individual member. So just nothing's changing there, but just a quick reminder for the commission. This covers medical and pharmacy. A couple, we don't have terminal liability included, which is not really appropriate now because we're renewing every year within the stop loss contract. But a couple things that are important here with Sun Life, they have a no new laser at renewal provision as part of this contract. And that's very important in today's world where we can get that guarantee, because if you have a high claimant or more than one on your plan, the carriers are underwriting that at the renewal. And I'm just using an example. Let's say we have someone taking a $50,000 a month medication, $600,000 a year, and that person is ongoing. Well, the underwriters quickly realize that the county's going to pay the first $85,000, so that's a known risk going into the next year. In Sun Life's case, because they don't allow lasering, they've got to factor that into their renewal, which of course can fluctuate the renewal. But if carriers are allowed to laser, they can come out and put a higher deductible on that specific person. So you could have a $600,000 amount on that person versus 85. So the no lasering is something we've been adamant to try to keep in place for the county because we're seeing a lot. I'm not talking about the county employees specifically, I'm just talking about in general. It's not uncommon to see $1 million claims today. So that's a lot of protection for the county. So that is current and continues with the renewal, that there's no lasering allowed. The renewal rate cap is 50%. That doesn't sound great, but if you don't have a rate cap, you could see a renewal of any amount. So while we have a renewal that's much more favorable than that, we at least have a maximum built into the contract. Not to mention we can always shop the market as we've done, but to have that strong contract in place is one of the reasons we like working with Sun Life. Let me stop with that because I'm throwing a lot at you just as a reminder, but any questions on the contract we're purchasing? Okay. So the aggregate right below that is a second layer of coverage which covers all the employees as a whole. And what you're purchasing is $1 million insurance policy, basically that if you hit your ceiling, which we'll talk about at the bottom, if you hit this combined ceiling of maximum funding, they're going to step in and cover up to another $1 million of claims. But keep in mind that this coverage is only accumulating claims that are under $85,000. So if I have a $60,000 claim, it's going towards that ceiling. If someone has a $600,000 claim in my prior example, $85,000 goes towards the ceiling, and then that difference is covered by the specific carrier that we just talked about. So it would take a lot of claims under $85,000. They can be small claims, it could be an MRI, it could be whatever, it could be a $50,000 surgery. All those claims are combining towards that ceiling, and if you breach the ceiling, it's $1 million of coverage above that. And that still is a lot of coverage in today's world because it's not one claimant that's going to drive that. It's your combined claims, if you will. So I know that can get a little confusing when you bring all that together, but it gives you all an umbrella maximum amount that if you would hit that, there's coverage in place. Again, the same terms, 1215, it covers all the benefits are included relative to the same contract we talked about before. Just to jump to the middle of the page to your actual premiums, and the reason I want to take a little bit of time to remind you of the policy, this is what you're paying in premium for that policy. So your stop loss premiums for this specific coverage, which is to have the carrier pay anything over $85,000, we're giving you the census and a 4-tier census there, so you have 211 employees. If you see where it lists employee, employee spouse, employee child, and family, it lists those totals there. So we certainly have 211 employee onlys, then we have some employee spouses, some employee children, and some employee families with a spouse or one or more child, for a total of 309 covered employees, if you will, some of them that have family. And then when you go over to the premiums, you can see we're getting a premium increase here, which is 9.39%, so 9.4% is the premium increase for this specific premium to remain at the $85,000 level, and not belittling a 9.4% increase, but it came in higher than that. We worked to get that down. You can see where the marketplace, just going over to the right, there was no one else that was really competitive there. So in today's market, with what we're seeing, getting into a single-digit renewal on your fixed cost, which is hard dollars because you're going to pay that premium whether we have any claims or not. So very comfortable and happy where we ended up there. Again, staying with Sun Life for the continuity of the contract, no new lasering, and having the rate cap in that. So just any questions on that before I talk about the third option, which is $100,000 specific? Okay, so this is an option. We're not suggesting that the county needs to make this decision 1/1/26, but at least to discuss it for the future thought, is the third column over called option 1. This is staying with Sun Life, but it's moving your specific deductible from $85,000 to $100,000. So just like on auto insurance or homeowners insurance, if you raise your deductible on your car from $500 to $1,000, you're going to save premium. Same thing here. If we raise it from $85,000 to $100,000, you're going to save premium, and it almost keeps us current, it's just barely over a zero increase because we're paying $1,265,000 annualized today. And here you'd be at $1,267,000. So basically a zero increase. But with that, you're taking on an additional $15,000 of risk per claimant because we're going from 85 to 100. So what is that difference? And Harry's probably already done the math in his head, but if you take the renewal premium of $1,384,000, so if you see that there under the renewal of the current $85,000, and you subtract the $100,000 premium of $1,267,000, that is a difference of $117,000. So you're saving $117,000 premium, but what is the risk? The risk is $15,000 more per person. So if you divide the 117 by 15, it's 7.8. So I know I'm throwing a lot of math at you there, but the carrier is making it attractive for the county to consider raising your deductible at some point. That's going to be there next year, and not that you may not want to look at it this year, but we may want to save that for a year when we don't have a 9% renewal, and it's a 20%er as an example, and we may want to look at raising that deductible at the appropriate time. You certainly can do that this year. Getting to a 7 times that delta is good. I mean, they're encouraging you to take more risk. If it was only, if you were taking on that risk and only saving $30,000, well, you're saving $30,000 in premium, but you're taking on $15,000 per person for all these 300 covered employees. So the county's average probably 4 to 5-ish per year of people going over that to keep that in perspective. So let me stop with that. Again, that's a whole other concept, but any questions on that? I mean,
I thought this is going from memory, which is dangerous, but I thought we were a little closer to 7, 8 people that we were maxing out on in the past.
Right.
We went from 75 to 85 2 years ago, or was it last year?
This is the third year.
yes, 30.
Okay, 2 years ago, we went from 75 to 85, having the same discussion with just different figures, amounts, right?
Yep.
And I had computed 8. Are there 8 people that are going to bump us over if that we lost on our transaction? If it's below 7.8 or 8, we won.
You won. That's exactly right. So it's just the math of at some point in the future, just based on general inflation within medical and pharmacy, not even specific to Cole County's claims. 5 years from now, if we're still at an $85,000 deductible, our claims utilization obviously is going to continue to go up. A heart surgery 5 years from now is going to be more than it is today unless something changes with healthcare in the United States. So when you think about that, at some point, if you don't raise your deductible, you're taking less risk on your covered population and the carrier's taking more. So they're going to entice you over time to think about raising your deductible and taking more risk. But it's not something you generally do every year. It's something to just consider as we go forward. And sometimes it's used when you have a larger renewal to say, hey, we got a larger renewal this year. What about maybe taking more risk and hoping to still be at that same delta, if you will.
It's not a slam dunk decision. We've got to go this way.
Right.
Like Dirty Harry said, do you feel lucky?
Do you feel lucky, right? So it's certainly going to be a decision every year for you all to consider, but I wanted to point that out because, they certainly are making it attractive to look at that option, but I think that'll be there in the future too, so. Okay, great questions. So that is the specific coverage. That's where the majority of your money is being spent at the fixed level, besides what you pay UMR and so forth. That's what we call it $1.3 million. So those are hard dollars that are being paid, even if you have no claims. That's what you're paying in premium to have that coverage, just like you do again for your home or auto, and hopefully you don't have an auto claim or a homeowner's claim, but you buy that to cover risk. Below that, you get into the aggregate claims liability, and this is not hard dollars. This is just the actuary looking at your group, looking at the history, ongoing claims, and coming up with a attachment point that they are putting out there that you can budget towards. And they're basically saying, when you combine your fixed cost plus this attachment point, unless you breach that total, you won't have an aggregate claim. If you would have an aggregate claim, that's where they're going to pay that up to $1 million that I mentioned before. So we are having an increase, what I would call in soft dollars, which is 12.6%, 12% call it. So just using the employee only, we're at $686.89. That's an attachment point. That doesn't mean you have to pay that. It doesn't mean you're going to pay that. But it basically says until you do hit that, they're not going to step in and pay an aggregate claim. So they are bumping our ceiling, which is not uncommon, up just over 12%. So when you add that part of the total budget with your fixed cost above, you get to the total change of 11.4. But with that, we know that the hard dollars are simply the difference between the renewal of the 85, what you're currently paying, about 100, call it 15,000. The rest of it is this blanket coverage ceiling, and the carriers set that at a 20% increase attachment point, if you will. So they figure up what they expect you to have in claims. They add 20% of that, which is called a corridor. So they don't expect you to have an ag claim, but they give you that to kind of have that sleep well at night insurance, if you will, and have a maximum budget. And then what the county funds towards this on an ongoing amount year after year, depending on what the county is setting aside and collecting from employees and premiums for themselves and their dependents, that's the monies that you have going towards this claims fund, if you will. So, which I know Debbie will talk about that a little bit. But so we are certainly recommending renewing with Sun Life, either at the 85 or if there's interest in moving to the 100. They certainly are, again, the best renewal option by far from the marketplace. Plus, they're the current carrier, and we have the continuity of not changing reinsurance carriers in the middle of a a claim cycle, if you will. So let me stop with that. There's a lot of detail, and see if any of the commissioners have any questions.
I'll ask.
Sure.
Debbie, we thought it would be more than this, is that right?
We did.
I did.
We did on the fixed cost alone, but they did a great job of getting them down even with the 85 limit per employee. It's great. The one thing I'll remind you, if you look at the fixed cost per employee, the $251.99, and you add that to the $770.39 for what they say we should be setting aside as our premium, that premium total comes to $1,022.38. So in UMR's mind, not only this is your fix, but this is what you better be putting away for your medical and RX. Again, to how they, the actuaries figure this. Currently, we're at $694 an employee we set aside.
How much was it?
$694 compared to where they're at the $1,022.38. So this is where we're at. It's a great renewal. And I agree we should stay with Sun Life for the stop loss because of the fixed cost being a slight increase. But again, over the years, I don't think we put enough away in our health insurance fund because it was healthy. It's not so healthy now. So I think we got to build back up to get our health insurance fund healthy as far as that goes. And again, looking at the total premium that they say we should be charging compared to where we're at, even at a 20% increase is what I was suggesting for this year, that would make our premium monthly cost $858. So we're not even up to what they're suggesting.
So I'm gonna go backwards here.
Sure.
You're saying we're setting it aside. Where does the set aside come from?
Out of each, we charge the different departments so much per employee.
We basically put X amount of dollars in each month per employee, correct?
Yes.
There's other money that comes in to pay for that too, right? The employees don't pay anything?
They pay for their dependents if they pay $10 this year.
Employees pay 10 for
Yes.
themselves. So there is other money.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, it's not zero. It's
Not
10.
zero, not this year.
It's not much.
It's not much.
And then that's where I was trying to get to. You,
It's-
that you said you was wanting to raise it 200. Or 20%.
Yes. At 20%, it won't even get you to where they're telling you we should be at now.
So you probably delved into the numbers quite a bit. So you're there right on the 7 to 8 on the delta, so that's not worth it.
Probably a little more favorable to staying with the 85 and not jumping to the 100 this year.
Okay.
We'll get into other discussion about employee participation. For the first time, I think, last year, we asked the employee who only had employee coverage,
Right.
not spouse, not family, we asked them to pay a portion, $10 twice a month.
Yeah.
I mean, although we're paid 26 times a year, we only charge them a withholding 24 times a
That's
year.
right.
So $240 is what that single employee paid for the first time for calendar year '25.
And just to be clear, that $694 a month, that does include that $10. So there's no really extra money if you're looking at the $694.
So as far as what's in front of us right now, I don't know, we don't have to make that decision today, or do we?
Please, we got open enrollment.
No, we're making a decision on this, but not what the employees are.
Not what
I'm gonna ask you.
So that's going to be a different day, or that's,
Oh, no, well, we've got to do that pretty quick because she's got open enrollment starting on the 1st, November 4th, 3rd. So, when somebody talks about insurance here, they want to know what's going to cost me as an employee, so.
so when you dug into it, the total that we should be setting aside was a little over 1,000. And right now, we're putting in a little under 700. Yeah, so
Now that's
worries
kind of
me a little bit.
Well, it does, but that's sort of a paper transaction. I mean, do we have checks written, cash on the table? No, that's kind of a journal entry, isn't it?
No, well, it would be if our cash balance wouldn't be dwindling down.
Right, well, okay.
I mean, it's real money. It's real money that we take out of their budget. We put into the health insurance fund, and then we're paying it back to UMR and all the other vendors our employees are going to.
So where did our reserves take all the hits? Because we were really, really healthy.
That email that I sent you guys October 24th, I took a look back from September 24 to September now, and the cash balance versus medical and RX versus the stop loss and admin costs versus the reimbursement from stop loss, that people that did go over the 85, we did receive back. And what we put in there with our annual payroll at this $694 a person, we have been in a deficit that year pattern of $1 million. And when I went back and looked, it's the medical and RX. It's actually higher than what we're putting in, what we're paying out. And medical and RX is actually higher than the payroll that we're putting in there. That didn't even include the admin fees. So medical and RX has just increased. I don't know if you guys would agree to that, but we were not keeping up with the cost of the medical and expense. Not only how many people went over the stop loss or got up to the 85, but it's, and I'm not putting blame, but I don't know if it was from Capital Region to Mizzou, if the cost of care has gone up that much under their umbrella versus where we were before. I can't pick all that stuff out of there. And I didn't mean to say that publicly, but it seems that medical expenses are just higher. And
Cost of care in general is higher, and your pharmaceuticals are really pressing. Things like Keytruda, it's a fantastic cancer medication. It is an infusion therapy, and it's about $36,000 a whack. It's a phenomenal medication, and of course we want our folks to have that. But when you look at the pharmaceuticals and how fast they're going up in cost, and these new, what they call nuclear medicines, but what they really are is all the injectable things in that, the costs are just astronomical. And your GLP-1s are still pushing it, and they're getting as much as they can for those medications. And although we have certain stop losses in, if a doctor calls in and says a person is diabetic, whether they are or not, we can't, go against that. If they say they are, they get them the medication, they're going to get that. And that medication is still running super high. While they're under that patent, they are going to get every dime that they can.
The trimming that we did a year or so ago
That
was,
has helped.
which was, you don't get that drug if it's simply for weight loss. Right?
Correct.
If you are a diabetic and you're prescribed it, you do get that.
Yes, that is correct. And there are just many new things. Dupixent, as an example, they have found so many more things that Dupixent can be used to treat. It's another high-dollar drug. Even your Ozempic, it's now been found to be good for cardiovascular disease, for kidneys, so it's not limited to the diabetes anymore and the weight loss. So a lot of those medications are being prescribed for those conditions, and the AMA is now recognizing those conditions, and so of course those drugs are getting granted for those as well.
I think, if you want Randy and them to say, I would at least if you could renew with Sun Life and renew with Sun Life on the stop loss, and then we can get into what we want to charge the employees if you're going to absorb the 20% of the dependents, if you want them to pay that whole cost, and again, if we want to take that $10 to $25 is what I'm recommending. And I think that was all in your email on the 24th.
I think most government entities now, the employees paying something monthly.
And we did look into other programs. We looked at the city, we looked at the state. Some of them do make their employees pay $50 a month or more. They do give sometimes incentives for them to get that money, recoup that money back if they do programs. It's kind of become a joke, not only here, but listening to employees talk about those programs. They don't really gain anything, they just do the work to get their money back. So, but you're going to pay for somebody to come in and administer those programs. I don't think that's where we need to go. I don't think that's really helping what the intention was to help, which was to keep our employees healthy. I don't know what you say about that, Randy, or your company.
No, that's a good point. The wellness buzz has been out there a long time, but there's not many programs that you can see an ROI that, because you're going to pay for that program. As Debbie talked about, a lot of times people are going in and taking that health risk assessment or whatever they need to do to get a lower premium back, but it doesn't necessarily change behavior. The other thing too, just in claims, it's when you start having a lot of claims amongst the whole population that's under 85,000, it can start taking away from that fund. Just to put that in perspective, if you have one person that has a $500,000 claim, not that you want a large claim, but you're going to only pay $85,000 at the county level, and the rest of it's covered by the specific reinsurance carrier. But if you have 10 people that have a $50,000 claim, none of them got to $85,000, so you ended up spending $500,000 because no one had a large claim, which is a good thing. But it's just we're seeing so many things develop that people are doing. I'm talking about in general, some of the things Joe talked about, that the cost of care, medical pharmacy continues to go up in general. So, for you all to have a healthy fund, it's something you'll need to look at and see if you need to make an adjustments there, whether it's at the employer level to some degree, which it would be obviously, and at the employee level. No one likes to see premium increases. The employees won't like that premium increase coming out of their paycheck, but that amount is very reasonable when we think of all the different employers we work with, municipalities and beyond, school districts and so forth. There's a lot of them that have had a budgeted amount, and the employees are paying that difference. So the county certainly is continuing to pay the lion's share by far of the total cost at the employee level, and paying for part of the dependents. It's a decision made several years ago, which is still very beneficial. It's part of your total compensation package too, so I think you have to take that in consideration. But the cost of medical and pharmacy is just not slowing down in this country. And we have a lot of great new research and development, and from a humanitarian standpoint, if it's you or your loved one, you want the latest, greatest. but it is expensive.
And you kept your plan, deductibles and that, very reasonable
Yeah.
for a lot of years.
So in 2 weeks from now, there will be a budget recommendation. I've been working with Debbie and Jessica for months now, trying to figure out what we wanted to do, move forward with health insurance. We decided to build in a cost of $10,850 for this, which is a 20% increase of what we would allocate, sweep out of each fund for each employee going forward. We also have decided at this point where we'll be recommending that the employees' deductible, or not deductible, that the employee's share would go up to $50 a month with that. Our reserves in our health fund was about 1.3 million. In the last couple of months, we've been decreasing over $100,000 a month. So we have maybe 9-10 months worth of reserve, which I'm not comfortable with. I don't think anyone at the table is. This should help. One of the other proposals that you will see in the upcoming budget is moving the marijuana money balance, 580,000-ish, over to the health insurance to help bring it back to a little more stable level. With the 20% increase we're looking at, with moving that money, our balance will be closer to the $2 million, $1.82 million range projected at the end of next year. Is that enough? Probably not. Hopefully we can continue to hold our cost and we won't have as many claims that we can build it back up. But this is a critical issue that the county is facing. We're not as bad off as the city with what they went through, but we have to do something to build our cash reserves back in health insurance up if we're going to continue to stay self-insured.
When you say you want to raise the rates 20%, what rates?
The rate that we not only charge each fund for each person, but then also the dependent costs would go up 20%. So instead of the $694 that we charge each fund, each department for each employee, we'd be charging $858 would be the amount for 20%. And of that, $25 would come from the employee themselves, but the rest of it would come from the county, different funds into the self-insurance.
I guess I'm not understanding. You're increasing the rates for the department. That's still county money. It's still coming from the same pot.
Wait, we put them in different pots here.
Right?
We take them out of special revenue funds, we take them out of different general funds, public works funds, and we put all of that in there. That's where we come to being self-insured, right? And then we pay.
That's what I call the journal entry. It's not like we went out and taxed some people and grabbed the money and brought it in here and then used it for that. This is an internal journal entry. We're just saying to every department, we're saying to Public Works, hey, Public Works, you aren't throwing enough money on paper over here, but we don't ask Eric to write a check for this.
Otherwise, it's coming out of general.
When this shows up on our financial statement, does it show up on it as a transfer?
It's a transfer,
okay.
We don't do a
But
check.
transfers equal each other, transfers in and transfers out. So
It's a cost accounting method to say the cost of this employee has to include health insurance. So every fund that is paying for an employee is also paying for health insurance to be swept into the self-insurance fund.
So the raising the rate 20% really doesn't do anything besides take some money from somewhere else.
yes, it's monopoly money.
Okay.
in a way.
You know what?
So that's
Real
really
money
not
we
even,
pay it.
it's not even helping.
Whatever you say, Harry, I'm with you all the way, honey.
But I just got a question. So when you say you're taking it out of the different departments, so that means Eric, Hoy, myself, and Len, we're all gonna, there'll be an additional expense out of our GR, out of our sales tax, so it's gonna reduce our,
Well, don't say sales tax, just out of your budget.
but out of my budget.
To help pay.
It's gonna reduce the amount of money I'll have for.
Well, you may turn around and say, hey, commissioners, I need more general revenue transferred over to take the transfer you're taking out.
Harry, don't help him out.
Okay.
Hey, I'm not giving him any ideas, he's already thought of this.
I know.
That's what I was leading up to. So in essence, if that gets to a point where we are lacking in funds, we would be able to approach the commission and ask for
Well,
GR funds.
this is benefits, and these are benefits countywide. So if it continues, if they want to be, maybe we reduce our benefits. Maybe we go back and we say, okay, we're going to raise our deductibles. We're going to quit paying for dependents. We're going to shove more of the cost to the employee. That's your guys' ultimate decision countywide. I understand the sheriff, he's worried about his fund, but these benefits are shared throughout all of county employees, so.
Well, his employees won't be treated any differently than any other employee,
Right.
any other elected official's office or department.
Right.
A lot of businesses have gone, they offer insurance to dependents, but they don't cover any of the cost. That would be a huge step for us to go there. And it would be detrimental to some of our younger employees, and we need to keep that balance of those employees that have family and that need.
That's an extra benefit for the younger employees.
That is a benefit. That's part of that cost of the salary versus benefits that you.
Lead on that today, but I think to keep the health insurance thing, my concern is that it's going the wrong direction right now.
Right.
So we've got to, we're either going to reduce some kind of benefits, or we have to share the cost, or I guess we just eat it. And
Yeah, if we become insolvent,
We can only eat it until the balance is zero, and then there's no more.
do you want us to keep subsidizing this and paying for this, or do you want raises? I mean, there's trade-offs on that too.
Well, we
So-
want to be competitive, right? We want to stay competitive with the state and the city as far as so we can get employees with
Well,
our
how far do you
benefits.
go? To break ourselves?
No, but here's what I'm saying, on
So-
the marijuana money, you could put that over there to help subsidize, so we don't have to hit all the funds with more than a 20% increase to make this work. If we went to the private market with this and we get out of self-insurance, it's going to be higher than this per employee.
So I'm not totally against using the marijuana sales tax thing to try to make this whole work, but it's also money we have sitting there for emergencies in my mind. But we shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't have to subsidize it with this marijuana sales tax, which is not going to be coming around anymore, the way I
Right.
understand it. That's done.
It's a one-time save.
so if we're having 100,000 a month, we can't, do that much longer.
Will that turn?
Use that. Like, as a health department, we used to have a worksite wellness committee. It kind of died during COVID. We want to get it back together. So what can we do as a county to make our employees healthier, to reduce those costs, to prevent this? Do you have recommendations on the chronic health conditions that the employees are seeing, or the number of why they're going to the doctor, and what we can do to prevent it?
We number one, we have that detail we do go through, and there's chronic condition therapy and so forth within UMR. So certainly, if there's a committee, we welcome that to refocus on that, and we can certainly look at. I'm just using diabetes as an example, but we can look at where's the county versus a benchmark, and if we are seeing a pattern, what else can be done to educate members. It's not easy because you're looking at claims that happen to try to adjust
Well, behavior
patterns.
change is hard.
Behavior,
We know that.
right.
But
If there's any way,
there's something we could do to help.
Right.
yeah, and moving to Smith RX and the continuing move with different kind of programs and stuff through UMR. They call our employees and they do stuff for us, to try to reduce that. We put a nurse on them through UMR and stuff like that. It's just the rising cost of medical and RX. It really is. It comes down to that. I mean, yes, we have, some employees we can try to change their patterns, but things unfortunately happen even to the very healthy people, so.
Is everyone watching the news every night?
No, then I would need depression medicine.
Wow. This is true, and you would definitely need it for this, because what they are telling people across the board is that health insurance is expected to have a minimum of 20% increase this year, particularly why we're having all this debate in Washington. They want to raise the Obamacare, the ACA, because they want more money to go into that, because those plans are expected to go up 20%. I can tell you as a Medicare recipient that my costs go up, my premium costs alone are going faster than I can keep up with them. My drug card is again going to go up this year, and they are eliminating some of the medications that I take, so I'm going to have to go find alternate things. This isn't something that's just happening at this level. This is all the way through, and costs just keep going up and up and up. And when I help your folks with bills and things, I mean, I am shocked just to see sometimes what ER visits are. And we're trying to keep people out of the ER. But you can't get into your primary care. You got a 6-month wait. You can't get in to see a dermatologist. You got a 5-month wait. I mean, if you can't get in, they're going to show up at the ER.
We have a quick care nurse practitioner at the health department that will see employees for $40, and the county's not billed on the back end. But it's getting the word out and getting people to use that, and it would save on insurance costs.
And if they would do that, that would be great. But again, it's people are resistant to change. People are resistant to get in programs. They don't participate. They don't do it. I don't have time. I don't want to do that. I mean, we can put 1,000 things in place, but if the people won't participate, we can't help them. It's just like anything else that you look at. If people don't participate, you can't help them to do better for themselves. And it's just the cost in general. And when I look at, I get a report from Smith RX that tells me if they've contacted. So if they've called you and you won't return a call because they're trying to get you into a specific program for your medication, they're going to attempt to call you 3 times. If they don't get hold of you, they'll send a letter, and then that's it. And the medication you wanted to get, you're not going to get because you will not cooperate. You would not believe the number of people that are on that list that will not even return a phone call to these folks.
I got that
They
call.
probably think it's
I thought it was a scam.
Exactly.
So I didn't answer it.
That if you ever think something's a scam, call me and I will tell you if it is or not. Because I will call the number and I will find out who's calling you. But Smith RX will identify themselves and they will tell you that they're calling you to get you into one of their programs. They have numerous things. They have a Connect, they have a Connect Access, they have an international sourcing. A lot of your Crohn's disease medications, we can source internationally. They're not coming from a third world country. So you can trust this stuff when it comes in here. Cuban. You're familiar with Cuban, Mark Cuban. He has a program where we're able to get a lot of reduced price drugs with Smith RX, but we have to get people to participate. If you don't participate, it doesn't matter how many cost containment measures we put in place, we cannot do anything. So we have to have the participation. And we have sent flyers and we have sent information, and it's difficult to get people to get on board. They say that you have to touch people 7 times in order to get them to respond to one thing.
One thing Joe mentioned there is through those programs, it's not just a matter if they won't reply, they get the medication. If they're not responding, they're not getting the
I
medication.
don't respond either.
Which I
don't even know if I'd listen to the message if I got it.
Right.
I probably will.
So that's
Looks like
a-
spam. And I'm going to tell you, my dad would tell you, it probably did take 7 times to get me to listen. So,
There's going to be something we
I'll tell you
need to discuss, but we really probably need to move along because
Yeah, sure.
in 25 minutes, we're going to have to
sorry, Sam.
recess. So
Yeah.
we've got a long.
Yeah, one last thing. In my short time here, this is my biggest concern that I've come across so far. is the funding for this and the continued increase of medical costs.
Well, I don't know if you want to plow through it and then address this after a while or decide what we're going to do.
But I think we need to decide,
But we're not deciding on the employee.
no, we're deciding, yes, we need
I hear
to.
Debbie saying yes, I hear you saying.
No, it is.
It's two-step. No.
Yeah, this is.
If you could
what we-
just
what we're gonna
vote on
charge
his
our
now.
Employees as a,
It still has to happen today, Sam. So will you guys make a motion to renew with Sun Life?
I will make a motion to renew with Sun Life, the second column, the renewal column, maintaining the 85,000 self-insured
With you and our Sun Life.
UMR.
Sun Life. You had it right.
Yeah.
Sun Life.
The second column essentially, so, okay. Second.
all in favor?
Aye. That was the easy part.
Yeah, then we can finish the agenda and then we'll come back to the employee part.
Randy and Joe don't want to stay.
I don't.
Let them leave.
Well, one
I
thing
will stay, but you know.
One thing I'll mention, just before we leave, I appreciate everybody's input. These are the same conversations, whether it's a small business of 8 people or 18 or 38, but those smaller businesses unfortunately don't have many options to look at partial self-funding. And the fully insured world, Debbie kind of hit on it. We're down to 4 carriers: United, Blue Cross, Cigna, and Aetna, because of healthcare reform. And if you're a small employer, you're with one of those carriers. The rate increases we are seeing on the fully insured businesses are double-digit plus. And if they have a health condition going on, it's significant increases. When you think about that, if we were fully insured today with United, and they said, here's a 20% increase, you've got to pay that bill, or they're going to cancel coverage. So you don't really control your destiny. You're being said, here's the renewal. And if we've marketed it and it's the best, you have to deal with it. You all being partial self-funded, you're making some wise decisions here because you're getting ahead of getting to that where you have a zero balance. And how do we keep dollars in the fund, realizing we're spending more than we have today? Going fully insured, you can always look at that, but most businesses are running from fully insured if they're large enough to do it. And this has worked well for the county. It's just keeping that ebb and flow of cash flow there. So thank you all, number one, for taking the time and the good discussions. Please let us know if we have any follow-ups from today.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Were you guys all good with the ancillary on the Sun Life fee?
Yeah, I think, that was included in.
It was in Sun Life's motion. So I took it.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you all.
Cool.
Thought
Thank
you added
you.
that part
Thank
in
you.
there, so, okay, thank you all.
See you again.
Christie, you asked, what can we do? You know, this morning, the commission served you biscuits and gravy. Well, it was here. Biscuits and gravy and eggs.
Say it.
And ham.
Right.
Next year, it's granola and prune juice.
And a leaf of lettuce.
Lettuce, what
Throw in a leaf of lettuce too, all right, some kale.
Okay, so we need to decide.
You want to do that now, or you want to go to the
I
rest of
think
your-
if you want to pound through the rest of this and we can,
Okay. Again, in that email.
I think that's going to take us longer than until 10:30.
Well, 10:15, we recess.
Oh, it's 10:15 salary commission?
Yeah,
Whose
that's
idea
why,
was that?
I still have to get this done today.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I have to get it done today. So,
Here's,
what do you want to do? You want to do the agenda, or you want to do the rest of the health?
Here, Joe.
No, I just Xed the right one. So you want to talk about health insurance, or you want to do the rest of the agenda?
let's try to
Get the health
do this.
insurance. Okay,
Let's try to get all that done and what we might
okay,
send out
so
for, or we got ham, we'll eat ham. Yeah.
blood pressure go up. What, Jeff, were you going to say something, or you want me to say? So on the email that I sent you October 24th and talking to Jay, and as he said, he does have the 20% built into the budget for 26. I know it's a big hit. I think it's going to help the fund, not help it, but bring us back to being where we need to be to pay those medical and RX bills, to not have a negative amount every month.
Yeah, we
in
can't
that
keep
fund.
hemorrhaging
Right.
100,000 a month.
Do I know how many people are going to hit it next year? Absolutely, I do not. But this is the game we play, so but again, we would be going from, which they're suggesting, what did I say, $1,022.38 our premium. I'm only saying with the 20% would take it to $858. We're not where the actuaries say we should be, but I think we're making a good move towards making our fund stop it again.
So when you're talking about the rate being charged,
Yes.
I thought all the departments basically, I mean, we do this study every year on how much they should be charged for, what they get out of the computer systems and everything that's a shared cost. So the actual salaries and medical benefits aren't included in that
Indirect cost study.
Oh, and the indirect cost study?
indirect cost study, yeah, whoever does.
Oh,
it.
absolutely not. That's just, I mean, it is in their total direct cost for their budget, yes. But they're moving their money, just like if they were to pay UMR directly for their insurance, like we used to be when we were fully insured. I took it out of each department's budget, depending on how many people. I gave that check directly to UMR. This check is not going to UMR, it's going to our self-insurance fund. We're paying for that at fixed cost, and we're also paying for every medical bill and RX bill that comes
I
through.
didn't follow that at all. Because I'm wondering is, when we're raising their rates, we're gonna raise their rate by 20%. It's gonna be in their budget, we're gonna transfer money, the magic money. So are they being charged anything at all right now for their medical?
Absolutely.
How much, what's that determined by? And then you're gonna increase it by 20%, and why wouldn't we be charging them by what it actually costs per employee?
Okay, what
In
is
the first place?
If we
Why-
were-
That would be a direct cost for their departments, right?
If we knew how much each employee was going to cost us next year, we could do the actual cost. We don't know how many medical bills and how many RX bills are going to be paid.
Okay, I get you on that one.
You know, some department could be the healthiest department we have, and they don't have anybody that even ever approaches $85,000 of,
So on the aggregate, we don't know that one.
we
So
don't.
this big number here, we don't know, that's just an average cross country.
That's what the actuaries
We go
are
to
saying.
the actual, the hard dollars on 251.99 is what they've got on this for 26. What do we charge per employee right now? Say, I'm gonna use the sheriff since he's here, that way he can argue with us too.
$694
That's what we're charging their employee.
each employee. We don't charge the employee, but we charge the sheriff's budget for it.
Okay,
That-
charging the sheriff's budget, charging him 700. That basically is there to hopefully cover the $1,022 average, which is just an average, I'm just using this, okay, I'm starting to understand it. We're gonna raise that by 20%. So if they're really healthy, then it's hurting them. Because they may not be paying that much, but
If they were paying fully insured, they'd be paying a lot more per employee.
I'm just trying to figure out where
Well,
the
yeah,
rate.
there could be
stuff comes
winners and
from.
losers within
You said about
the
that, 'cause-
umbrella of county department / elected officials.
I mean, the commission, use that for example. We got Sam up here, we gotta take care of him, so.
And Harry,
We don't want to get into specifics.
no.
I'm not getting specific, right? So,
But,
you know,
it,
I give over how I was just curious what we're charging.
and that's, you know,
per employee.
because we haven't, quote, charged ourselves enough on paper, that fund is being depleted. We've got a one-time fix in front of us, but we know it's a one-timer. And it's just to buy 5 months, you might say, if it's $500,000, right, and change.
I think that
Marijuana.
yeah, there may be a little insight. In the past, the self-insurance fund was much healthier. Then the question becomes, is it too healthy? Have we charged too much? And then over the years, we maybe didn't increase that 20%, that increase as much as we should have. And then things turned on us. And now with health cost, medical costs going up, and some maybe just more employees being sicker and things, we had a turn, and all of a sudden, we're depleting our reserves.
He's absolutely right. There were 6 years we didn't increase the premiums at
Oh, yeah,
all.
I got that part.
And so.
And the health has just went through the roof.
Yeah. It's hard to deal
We
with.
had to see it cut. At
Yeah.
some point, it's going to,
And we're
but I
here.
guess our answer is going to have to be, are we going to subsidize it from general revenue? We're going to pay for it ourselves, or we're going to start passing some of it on?
Well, technically, if you remove the marijuana money, which is in GR, it's a one-time, it helps all these outlining departments not to take more than a 20% increase.
But ultimately, we're just kicking the can down the road.
But yeah,
We're not.
If it keeps going the way it's going, we'll be addressing this.
the decision,
Next year.
to me, the decision is, do we continue to offer healthcare benefits at the rates that we are subsidizing, versus the employees having to pick up more of those costs?
So moving from $20 a month to $50 a month is not a 20% increase, that's a 250% increase for the employee.
Yes. But the problem becomes, the county had in the past decided to cover basically 100% of the cost. In today's world, there's no businesses doing that.
Right, but we can't say it's a 20% increase to the employees. 'Cause
No, I didn't say a 20% employee, yeah.
No, the 20% was on the rate that's going to get charged to the department.
Exactly.
That didn't have anything to do with the employees if we bump theirs up.
Right.
And you hate balancing your budget on the backs of your employees, but we've got to make some decisions as to what's a fair share for the employee to pay for healthcare going forward.
I fully understand the reasons for needing to do this, but understand that my department probably has the lowest percentage of bottom-end employees as far as making, 38,000 is their starting, that's pretty low, and we have a lot down there. They're going to pay, it's going to hit them the worst. It's not going to hit me that bad, it really
Yeah,
isn't.
100%.
But it's going to make a big deal to them. In a 2% raise or whatever, that's a very small amount of raise overall they're going to get because they'll be hitting this. It's not proportional across, it's the same amount per employee. So that's my biggest concern with that is it's going to have a big impact on my department. So.
So, obviously, there is going to be a 6% dental increase, and I assume you guys are going to continue to pay for that for the employee. And it doesn't amount to that much, it's $2 and something a month. And then we continue to then pass that 6% to the dependents for their part of the dental. If they choose, they don't have to choose. Let's just start there. Are you guys in agreement to pay the full cost of dental going forward in 2026 with the 6% increase?
Ask that again.
Dental, the county pays for the full employee cost for dental, and it's going up 6%. Do you guys want to continue paying the full percent for dental for the employees going forward? It makes it about $39 a month for employees.
Kind of depends on what we do with the rest of it, I think.
Okay, well then let's go to health, back to
All
health.
in there, so, okay, so we're looking at a 10% increase just this year on hard dollars,
On hard dollars, yes.
$120,000.
Mhm.
Okay. The historical aggregate claim liability is going up another 12%, another 300,000. So we're looking at basically our insurance going up $500,000 for this year. Am I reading that right then?
That they're suggesting, yes, but we were never at those rates, so, and at $770.39, we were never at that rate to begin with. We were lower than that, so.
But that's all right. I'd rather expect the worst and hope for the best and
We got the worst because we're hemorrhaging right now on the lower rate that we've been charging.
But you're saying we've never met the 770, so you're saying it's been over that?
No, we've always put into the fund less than.
No, I'm not saying what we put into the fund, I'm saying what it's gonna, basically, because that's what they're saying it's gonna cost us. The claims this year, they're saying it's 770 per employee, right?
Yeah, so actuaries are assuming that, yes.
That's their assumption, based on historical numbers from last year, years before. I don't know how far they go back. And if that actually is the number that it hits, it can be higher or lower.
Right.
Then maximum should be around, or expected claim liability should be 3.154, is what they're saying.
Yes.
Okay. And that was about 300,000, 250. Need bigger numbers here. No, about 300,000, 340,000. So our total increase should be about $500,000. It's expected, which is, I think, probably lower than what I probably expected too, kind of what you thought.
We were holding our breath, or I was.
On the fixed part, yes.
And so what we've run into a lot of times is we have done raises and we've kept the insurance where it's at. So it's kind of one of the deals. You're losing, if we're having to subsidize the health more, then if we do that, that's going to take away from our pot to work with raises with. That's kind of the way I see it. You either give benefits or potential raise, or maybe both of them go to crap one year.
There's no guarantee that the CPI raise will always exceed the insurance portion that the employee has to pay. There's no guarantee.
No, absolutely
No,
not.
but that's what I guess I'm trying to weigh right now is what would you rather have in terms of that? Because what's a 1% raise for the county? 750,000 across the board. I don't need exact numbers, Jay, if it, or.
You don't know that off the top of your head, Jay?
No, I don't, I'm sorry.
Here goes John, break it up a little bit for us.
I didn't quote it.
So our total personal service, and that include fringe and all that, we've budgeted about $31.5 million for the 25 budget. So you're talking
But
probably 20,
is
yeah, you're talking probably 20 million of payroll or so, and then 1% is in that, the 200,000 range and everything.
So basically, if we eat this, we just keep paying for it out of our own, and that would affect a 2% raise essentially.
Yeah.
So if we were sitting there proposing a 2% raise, or we do the insurance, but keep it the same.
Yeah, and to go along with no guarantees, there's no guarantee of a CPI.
Right.
So, I'm just trying to go back and be factual on this. One thing that I do want to make apparent, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that while yes, each department is charged for a percentage of the health care for the employee, we are also charged for the other benefits, dental, EAP, short-term disability. So our actual current cost as of this year was $9,040 per employee for a total of $562,980 for just my department. Adding 20% onto that takes it to $675,000 per year, which is roughly a $117,000 increase. So
you overcharged $800 a month per person?
They will be at the 20%.
Well, he just said that they were charged like $9,000 last year.
And that number is going to 10,850.
So the actual cost that each agency will be charged per employee is $10,080. So,
And that's for the employee-only category, that doesn't include the ones that have,
so I just want everybody to be aware of the actual budget impact that a 20% increase could cause. And while yes, that is a journal entry, those are funds that take away from operational responsibilities. So that's all I have to say. I just wanted that on the table.
Well, that's where I was trying to figure out where this rate increase, what number we have that we're charging each department. I mean, trying to be fair to each department and elected officials that have the, sales tax that helps fund you all. So
And it would be more if we wouldn't be asking for that marijuana money.
it'd be more for everybody across the county.
Well, the other thing too, that health
So
insurance,
I don't want to just point that out, that rate is what we're increasing.
But that is a valid point, that yes, we do have sales tax funds. But we've all been very aware of what's happened to sales tax this year. So,
I was actually arguing in your favor, Chief.
I agree. I don't disagree.
Okay, all right.
we have to think of where that health care fund will be if it goes to zero. Where's that money going to come from then?
But I can't keep going to the sheriff's department, EMS, Public Works, and saying, hey, we're just going to keep charging your funds.
We're charging all funds. We're not just.
Okay,
If they're the healthiest ones out there and still charge them $900 a person when we're saying it's $1,022.
Well, if you-
okay.
Well, then just charge them $1,022 per person.
Okay.
the 10,850 should be more.
It should be.
In theory, your journal money that's going into the health insurance fund, you should establish a fund balance you're comfortable, a reserve balance you're comfortable.
So we should charge them $1,022 per person.
Maybe.
According to the
If
actuaries,
that's what we're going to do, then let's.
according to the
Yes.
actuaries, yes.
So you establish what your reserve fund should be. This money you sweep and charge every fund, every department that has an employee goes in here, and in theory, that exact amount of money would come out to pay
Okay.
for health insurance.
Then we should be charging them more than $1,022, because $1,022 just keeps us whole for that year.
We are
Should
trying
charge them
to.
$1,200, that way we can build up. Sorry, you're not gonna like this idea.
Well, I understand. So I don't disagree with where you're going with that. The question is, how much of that percentage are you willing to pass on to the individual departments?
And here's where I think where we're at. We're asking you, we've looked at it many times. We've looked at getting our fund balance healthy, and a quick fix is moving that marijuana. We can stop the bleed this year. We're asking for a 20% increase that brings in about $700,000 more, assuming that would help that fund pay medical and RX and we become stable again. Our goal is not to have a big fund. Our goal is to keep it stable and be very comfortable. So I think you're good at moving this money in at 20% this year, then you're going to look at it all year long. You're going to watch that balance just like we did this year. You're going to keep looking at it to see how it's going. Maybe next year, we don't have to take an increase. Maybe our fund stayed stable. Maybe we didn't have a lot of people hit the stop loss. And then you look at it every year. Or we may have to have another 20% increase. Like she said, the world out there with what the president's doing and all the medical stuff that's coming in the future, we may have to be looking at a 20% every year. The county may get to a part where they say, we're paying $1,000 a month, we're paying $1,000 a month per employee, and everything after that, we're passing to the employee, period. You know, you may have to get there.
In 2 minutes, we're going to have to recess,
Okay,
so.
I'm recommending the 20% increase, and it's going from $10 to $25, and the HSA, this year was a 0, they would pay the $25 too. And then still giving them the $80 a month to put into their HSA account. And if there's anything you want different than that, but that is what I'm recommending to go forward into 2026.
So it's $25 a pay period.
Yes, for 24 pays.
And that's what's built in the proposed budget at this point in time. Now, if it changes, I've got 4 or 5 days to change every department amount. So it can be done. The problem, our timing is terrible. We're getting the information today. Open enrollment starts in the end of the beginning of the month, and then we've got to make budget recommendations to you by November 15th. So,
But on the other side, they do want to get September's data in there. They did want to have a good renewal, and it actually, that 1 month was a better month, so it did help bring our renewals down. I know it's terrible timing, and I hate it that it happens at the same time every year. But they do try to get the most data, and it did work out for us for that month. So maybe we're on a ebb and flow to being good, better months. So I'd ask you to approve that. And
Just adding more cost on the employees, while it's not that big of a deal dollar-wise, it's going to really hurt some of our lower-paid employees, and perception-wise, it's going to kill them, I think. I'm just really concerned about that. I understand where everybody's going on this, I get it, but that's my biggest concern about all this. And it's, perception-wise, it's going to kill them, especially when we're trying to hire people and struggling in that regard. And the 20% added, I'm assuming that comes out of our contingency. Just lower the contingency amount, because every other thing in our budget's pretty set and pretty tight as it is, so that would just lower the contingency rate.
I mean, part of it is our number of employees have grown over the years. That's something we may have to look at if those numbers can be reduced.
yep, there's not much else to
Fill
go.
open positions or...
But
Quit adding positions during budget time. We got budget coming up again. It's happened
so
just about every year, so.
we'll break it down. Do you want to
We're gonna
charge
add
the
some more
20?
over at the new juvenile center. That's gonna take more over there too, so. This ain't gonna go down.
$25,
That's not even gonna fix it though.
it's not gonna fix it, but I just need you guys to move one way or the other.
You're not even putting a bank on this, or we're putting ketchup on it. It's,
Again, it's something you're gonna have to continue to look at.
then next year it's gonna be even worse if we don't do it right now and figure it out. But if you're using the 500,000 from the sales tax for the marijuana,
That's only fixing this year, to be quite
I
honest.
think
That's like the kids telling a cookie, okay, well, you can just have one, okay? And you're not,
some of our counties, like Osage County, I think they're over $300 a month per employee. But
I just don't see this.
3,000.
I don't see this as a good proposal. I understand where you're trying to go with it. I don't think it's a fix though.
300 a month,
But the employee pays?
I think so. They don't have, I think I'd make that motion if I could remember all of the features. So would you,
Basically, make the motion to set the employee's cost at $25 for the PPO and $25
Per pay period?
per pay period. And then, again, you guys would,
What about HSA?
$25.
Per pay period?
Yes, and still continue to give them 80. I mean, you could back off the 80 and,
Just stay with the motion.
The proposal that you
Sorry.
had.
so I'm making them, for $25 on the PPO and the HSA to pass to the employees for the year 2026.
Did that cover everything?
Dental?
No, and to do with Sunlight for dental for the 6% increase that the county would absorb, the dental.
And then does that have to include the rates that you're going to include to increase it for the departments in this motion?
No, not really.
this motion's,
So,
That's a budget thing.
yeah, this motion,
It will fit in the 10,000.
well,
Because everything you're saying is going in the motion if you don't.
Oh, sorry. Okay, you say it.
That was my motion. Hope that's clear.
We'll find out later.
I will second it. More discussion?
how are we going to close shop?
Well, I
They
know,
saved
we can
it.
come back after we finish this, yeah. Yeah,
I'll call for the question.
okay, all in favor? Aye.
Nay.
I have a motion that we go continue recess. Is that right?
Yes, recess until
the adjournment of the salary commission. We'll come back and we will come back to open session.
Second.
For personnel.
All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Is there anything we can do workshops next year in advance?